Hey there, my friends. It's Dave Wood. It's a beautiful day in Costa Rica. The birds are chirping. I'm out by the swimming pool relaxing. I wanted to do an episode of The Daily Shortcut and talk about skill building, something that I've been passionate about for a long time. As the birds are singing, those are actually real. I just want you to remember that you can travel all over the world as you're building a business when you learn these skills. And here's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about how so many people in this niche, and we even teach this, which is a good thing we teach, they focus all their attention on like what doesn't really matter as much. And what I mean by that is like people are always focused on what emotional block do I have to doing X, Y, and Z. Now, you really might have emotional blocks. You might have emotional blocks. And emotional blocks are fast and easy to resolve if you're using the technology that exists in our products. We've got products that teach you how to resolve emotional blocks. And resolving emotional blocks has changed my life. However, that might not be the issue that you have with getting results. It might be something else. And it just might be the fact that you haven't had an actual skill in something. So it's difficult for you to create a result because you don't know how to do it. And so you're kind of just expecting something to work, but you don't really know how it works and you don't really know why it's going to work. For example, on the internet, we're always talking about getting a capture page and getting traffic to it and capturing leads and then getting them to a sales video, which might or might not be optimal depending on what your business is. A sales page might work better, a phone call might work better. I mean, there's a million kinds of businesses online, right? The reality is this, though, is that people really don't understand entirely any given part of that process. They might understand what the process should look like, but they don't really know why it should work well or why it wouldn't work well because they don't actually have a skill. And if you don't have a skill in something, you're really going to be guessing all the time as to what works. But more than that, you're not going to feel smooth when you're doing something, and you're not going to feel good if you don't actually know what to do and if you're not trained. Here's what I'm talking about. Omar, am I going to keep orphans? So I'm going to talk about something I'm talking about all the time, and we're not going to do anything. I'm not going to do a bunch more kung fu or anything like that. Here's what I want to talk about, right? So if you're doing a martial art, right, and I do martial arts, I've talked about it in the videos, you have trained and you have untrained people who get in fights, right? And a trained response is totally different than an untrained response. Now, this is going to depend on what you're trained in, right? For example, if you fight on the floor in your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you're going to be able to dominate somebody that doesn't do that because they're in your territory and you're relaxed and they're not. You're trained and they're not. Your body's trained and they're not. Right? So if I do something like this, like Omar, toma mi mano y tira en una direction. If he takes my arm and he throws it, it has no effect on my body. My arm's like super relaxed. Pero, ¿qué direction quieres? Está bien. See? My body's like totally relaxed and tense, right? Haga como quieres, como manos, right? If he does something with my arms, my arm, like if you look at my face and you look how relaxed I am, right? I don't even need to look at him to like move around, right? But if I take his arm, here, Yago is dead. Solo there. If I yank on his arm like this, right? Or if I pull on him, he's a little bit more tense than me, but he's relaxed. That used to hurt his neck if I just take him and I do something like I just pull on his arm. You see how his neck jerked a little bit? It's because he has tension in his body, right? Now, I've trained that a lot, but he was really tense. Here, haga conmigo, but watch my neck, right? If you see that, there's like no tension whatsoever in my body. Because of that, he can yank me, he can jump at me, and do anything he wants, and it's like I'm not reacting at all. Está bien, not a mess. There's not really much point in not so much application for you and even showing you that, because even if you're like, oh, that's interesting, you still would react with tension if somebody yanked on your arm if you're a man. Not all women would do that. Women react differently. But you would react with an untrained reaction because you don't know that martial art. And you don't know that it's good to relax if somebody yanks on your arm. And you don't know when to relax and you don't know when to tense up and you don't have an automatic reaction. It's because it's not trained. That tension there, it actually is not something that you need to release emotionally. It isn't. It's something that you need to train into your body. So, Jose, come up here real quick, right? So, Jose is like, he does the videos, right? So, no, it's bien, solo Jose. They can see you in here? Okay, we're not going to do martial arts, right? Jose has never built a business online. Have you ever built a business online?
No.
Okay. And he started working for me, and you'd never done videos, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can talk maybe a little bit louder because we're in a microphone. But yeah, you'd never done, when was the first time you really started doing videos for work? With me?
Yeah, with you.
And that was how long ago?
It's like from August.
It was from August, right? Now, so you would start in August, and if you look at his videos in August, and then you look at the videos now, there's a big difference, right?
Yeah.
Like his videos in August, they were like, he was doing a good job, and he didn't really know what to do. He was good at lighting, because you've done photography, right?
Yeah.
But he wasn't good at video. But now if you look at the videos, his videos are good. How many hours a day do you spend doing videos?
4 hours.
4 hours making videos?
Yeah.
And how many hours do you spend like studying and playing with things?
2 hours at least.
Yeah, 2 hours at least. So he's working 6 hours, 10 hours a day sometimes, sometimes more.
Yeah.
Right? Depending if we have like a lot of videos he's making. My point is this, is that every single day he's trying something new and he's getting feedback on his videos, right?
Yeah.
And his videos have taken a big turn. So let's say the first time I had a conversation with you and I was like, I want you to make great videos. You were stressed, right?
Yeah. Super stressed.
Yeah, super stressed, right? And people would say, oh, you need to release those emotions, which maybe he would need to release the emotions. But the reality is, you did it and you felt stressed. And then you did it, and do you feel stressed now?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
No.
You're just like making a great video, right? So he has a trained mind and body and a trained mind with videos. Now, if you take a look at his videos now, they're great. If you could write how great they are in the comments. Tell me if you like his videos in the comments, right? If you say anything bad, I'm coming for you with my kung fu, right? But the reality is they're great videos. Before, if you look, they were like, okay, they're better than the videos I make because you were doing it full time, but they need to jump. Now you look at them, they're like, these are really good. Here's the thing I want to point out though, right? He's doing it all day for hours and hours and hours. He knows what to do, right? So like a lot of people, they do things, Jose, like this, right? They do let's go away from Kung Fu into business. The other day I sat down and I did a demo with you and I was like, here's how you get somebody started in front of the staff. Now, you've never done home business before?
No.
So he's never done home business, he's never done internet marketing?
Never.
Right? So he didn't even know how to respond to my questions because he wasn't really looking online, right? So he's like, yeah, I really want, and he's just trying to repeat what he's heard me say, right? But he's never done this, right? So if I took Jose, right, which I'm not gonna do because this isn't what you should be doing, but if I took him and I was like, okay, you're gonna make phone calls all day, and he was sitting in front of the computer and he was making phone calls to prospects, do you think he would be good? Do you think he'd be good?
No.
No.
At least at first.
Not for a little while, right? He wouldn't be good, right? So a lot of people, they look and they're like, just give me a closing line. I just want to know the closing line. Well, it's like, first of all, are you really talking to the right person? Second of all, what did you say before that? Third, do you even know why you're doing this, right? If you don't have a skill, excuse me, all this stuff is totally unusable, right? But with a skill, it's usable. Hey, could we take one of these cameras and show them our setup here?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to walk you through this. So let's take a camera, and I'm just going to walk you through the setup, and let's talk about the complexity of, for example, what we have in this environment. So like this is what these videos, and it'll get more advanced, like in the future, we'll have the craziest stuff you can imagine in this show. So this is like an example of a setup for the Daily Shortcut. I let Jose, I tell you, I want to show up, and you pick the whole environment, set it up, and I just show up, right? Yeah. Okay, so if you take a look, he's got, here, can you zoom in on the tape? Can you show him that? I don't know if you can see it, but there's tape here in the ground. But he puts tape there. You say, well, why is that tape there? That tape's there so I don't have to choose where to stand, right? So I told Jose, I want you to be in charge of the videos, and you tell me where's that. Now, over here, if you take a look, this is, he has lights. And here's the thing. If you asked me why this is here, I don't know. I have no idea what that thing is. I think it's there to reflect light, but I can't tell the difference from having that thing there or not there, right? I'm not trained in videos. If you take a look at this, you say, well, what's this piece of equipment here? Right now it's off. This is a teleprompter, right? And the reason I have a teleprompter is because there's sometimes when I do freeform videos like now where I'm explaining something, and there's sometimes when I have something that's written and I just want to make the video, and it's much faster to use a teleprompter. So to do that, I'm going to stand here and read from about this distance words scrolling on the screen, and then I need to have an English speaker. Jose does it sometimes, Sandy does it sometimes. Sandy's my assistant, and they need to sit there and they need to scroll through those and keep up with the pace, and it's not always easy, is it, Jose? Because it's like I'm all over the place. I make stuff up spontaneously. I am the most difficult person. I drive a news anchor crazy. But the thing is that this makes it so I can create structured content. It's a tool, and with this tool I can create structured content from written material that I write. And I tend to not like to use teleprompters with things that I don't write myself. We've got multiple camera angles. You got a camera here, You've got a camera here. He's got this camera over here. Sometimes we have more. He's got background footage. We've got sound equipment. So if you ask me even like, how do you do all this? I don't, right? I need to have somebody with skill who's trained in this so I can show up and I can stand there and I could just make the video at a good time of day. So he actually schedules it. I show up and the whole daily shortcut takes me maybe at this point 2 hours a week, right? And if I write something, it might take another couple of hours. And Jose and the team, there's a team of about 5 people that put this together. But each part of that is a trained skill. So Omar, is Omar Icky? If he's not here, Omar, come here, real quick. So Omar, right, I've been teaching him Kung Fu. So sometimes you see that, and he's been, ¿cuánto tiempo estudió Kung Fu conmigo? Casi un año, ¿verdad?
Casi un año.
Okay, almost a year. If you don't speak Spanish, I asked him how long he's been training. So if you did, no haga nada, okay? But if you take this, people don't know what we're doing, but I'm training responses in his body. So he wants to learn. I'm not picking on him. I know I'm bigger than him, right? But I'm not stronger if you look at his arms, right? Yo digo tú eres más fuerte que yo. All right. Oh, qué lindo. All right, so I said he's stronger than me, right? But if you take a look at this, right, how am I going to start training these responses? I'm not going to train him and just start throwing haymakers at his face. It's crazy. First, it's dangerous. And second, he needs to learn basic stuff. And that basic stuff expands. So actually what I'm doing is I'm training his body. Like right now, his energy is actually headed in this direction. Su energía es aquí. Entonces I can just hit him underneath like that. I'm not going to do that all the time though. And the reason is because if I take him out of alignment with the skill level he's at, it actually will mess up his ability to learn. In other words, I can't just take him and say, okay, he's got this here, and I'm just going to hit him whenever I want, right? Because I could hit through, right? I can actually hit really hard like this. Now, if he drops his elbow, baja su codo, right? Now I can't hit like that anymore. I can't really hit like that, and I can't really hit like that around either, right? He can actually stop me up no matter where I am. Now, he's got better reflexes if you take a look at the strange energy I'm throwing at. Like I could have gotten an elbow through there, but you see this? He can block me off in about any direction with touch reflexes. Now here you say, well, I got him. No, I didn't, because he stopped my force, right, before I did that. Now I'm just moving like free. He has no idea what I'm going to do, but he can just like literally feel this after a short time. Now I got through, right? So what I'm going to do is as he learns one thing, then I make it more complex. And so you see it getting more complex. Yo digo, la complexidad de las cosas crecen con tiempo. La razón es porque tú aprendes una cosa a la vez. Entonces, cuando aprenda, yo muevo complexidad un nivel más alto. What I just explained is that when I'm doing something, I wait until he gets it, and when he gets it, see, you look at that, I try to get through, and he stopped that, right? That's the same thing I did a minute ago, right? So as he can get something, right, this is actually from an error here, right? As he's getting something, right, what I do is I change it a little bit, right? And I do that because you got to learn one thing at a time. So what does that mean for what your business is? And I've been talking about this a lot. I like to use visual metaphors. Consider this a metaphor. So if I take something like this, like there's something really important in Kung Fu I've talked about called rooting. Here, take me. If he pushes with all his force, empuje, con toda su fuerza, está bien. I can hold this, and I can stand on one leg, and I can kick him. Look, con toda su fuerza, right? I can take him, right? I can really generate a lot of force through something called rooting. It's like a principal concept in Kung Fu. So if he can't do that, he has no power with Kung Fu hits because they're weird hits, right? So if he's messing up his root, I'm really not going to do anything but play with that one thing from different directions until he can just do it, right? So what are the core concepts in business, right? You'd have rapport creation. It's like a connection, right? It's like a connection, right? Like if I'm here, my energy is connected to him kinesthetically, and I could tell I can just slip in like this, right? How did I know I could do that? I'm not looking, I can feel it, right? Like for this, for example, his energy here is off, and so I can just drop this, and I could go underneath like that, right? Now, you see how he's blocking me up, right? You see this. He's used to this, right? But if he puts that down, he could just hit me in the face like this, and I could come through. He could trap it up, right? My point is this, right? Like, I know that stuff is there. So when you're learning a line, it's not a line. When you're learning a script, it's not a script. It's in a series of skills, and one builds to the next one. So what are the things that we have? We have building an audience. Then we have building a rapport with the audience, right? Creating inbound requests, which is like leads or prospects. These are important for all businesses. right? When you create inbound leads from an audience, right, then it's like establishing a connection, right? And when you've established connection with them, connection is like you're touching into that person. It's like mgtow. Mgtow is sticking hands, right? But it's like you're connecting into that person. Here's what I'm aiming for, right? What I'm aiming for, again, this is a metaphor, right? What I'm aiming for when I establish a connection is actually really simple. I'm actually aiming my energy all the time at the core of his mass, right? Now in business, what you're going to do is if you establish a rapport, see my energy all the time, Bea, mueva, it's actually aiming right at his nose. If you see that, my energy is there all the time, and it just never stops. Now, here's the thing, and this is the interesting thing with doing something like this. When I'm established in a connection with a prospect, somebody that asks me for info, whether it's a lead and they're on my list and I'm emailing them, whether I'm talking to them on the phone, which is going to get a better kind of a sale, but both get sales, right? I can feel and know from my skill exactly how to get to his core. And what's the core in a prospect? The core in a prospect is their core desire, right? Why they opted in. And a lot of times the reason people, they opt in, right? You see it? The reason people opt in, it's not what they say. They're like, oh, I want to make $10,000 a month, right? See it? Right? I want to make $10,000 a month. I can do that ultra fast and hard, by the way. I want to make $10,000 a month, right? But what they're really doing is their hands are just in the way and their core is something else. That's not really why they're doing it. They're not really doing it to make $10,000 a month, right? They're doing it, right? That's not the core. See, his hand's there, but a lot of times his energy, you don't want to know why I get in like that? And I'm not doing it to hurt him. I'm not doing it to be abusive. He wants to learn Kung Fu. He asked. I'm doing it because, right, I want to teach him. I want him to be good. So I'm not hitting, I'm just touching. I can hit really hard. Yo puedo golpear fuerte, ¿verdad? So he says, yes, I can hit hard. See here, for example, I want him to be good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push into his core. And as I push into his core, I'm going to get his core out of the way and I'm going to move in, right? And the reason I'm going to do that in this context is to train him. The reason I'm going to do it with a prospect is because I want them to succeed and get what they want. So the core, what would the core be? The core would be something like, está bien, mueva, pretty despacio, right? You see, I don't even have to pay attention here, right? It doesn't even matter. The core would be, why do they want that 10 grand? Eso es incorrecto. The core would be, why do they want that 10 grand? What for, right? Like, how's that going to change your life when you make 10 grand? Like, how would the world change? What 5 things would you do, have, or would you become if time and money were not an issue, right? And a lot of times they're just putting up this energy, and this energy, right, this energy is not really connected to their core. And so because of that, they're putting up this tension in their life, right? You see the tension in his neck there? That needs to go, right? You see mine? I don't even move, right? They're putting in, right? They're putting in like this excuses, right, in the way. And so the skill that you learn, which is a series of movements inside of a structure, is to get into the core. And here's what happens when you do that. What happens when you do that is people have a change in tone. Their eyes light up, right? When their eyes light up, they have a change in tone. You connect with the message. It sends a shock to their whole system. And you know why they're doing what they're doing, right? You know what I mean? That's what you're doing when you're training your energy. See, look at that. He blocked that, right? That was really fast, right? And hard to block. See, he blocked that too. Check that out. Check how good he's getting. You don't see these things. You're like, oh, you slapped him. Sometimes, no, I didn't. Sometimes you think I did. Sometimes you think I didn't and I did. Like there I did, right? But you see this, I can also hit here. And I can hit really hard because I'm hitting with my whole arm there, right? But if you take a look there, hey, kiddos up top. If you take a look there, right, I moved at his core. I moved at his core. I'm not paying attention. He's not paying attention to my legs. I moved at his core. So my purpose is, you see it? Oh, pardon. My purpose is when I'm connecting with the process, right? You're building an audience. You're creating rapport, creating inbound requests, connecting with them. And you're aimed for the core. The core is why people do things. Just like a core keeps his balance, right? The core keeps his balance. So for example, Omar, venga aquí. See, if I push, yo voy a empujar. If I push right at him here, he doesn't have rooting quite down, right? He's going to be decently solid, right? But if I just push here, he's not solid, right? So a lot of times what happens is people have this energy they're putting up. Like even a lot of this group I'm training right now, I'm training a group to sell really well, like, but attractively, right? And it's like you explain it, but people need to do it and do it and do it to be able to do it. They need to practice. So with Omar, I can't just say, change your energy and have him do it. I've got to show him why, and he's got to have enough experience. You see that? I don't know if you could see it, right? I can just get through. I can hit him in the eye, right, with my thumb there, right? I can move there, right? But I know his energy is there. Now I've got my Kung Fu teacher, he can do this with me, right? And I'm fast. I'm like really ultra fast, right? And specific in the way that I move. But I'm trained. I'm trained with recruiting. I could pick up the phone and everyone I talk to gets in, everyone, right? It's rare that they don't get in. So it's not a line. It's not a line, right? It's not a line that creates the vision. Right here, move over here. I'm gonna walk this way real quick. So you take a look here. You got the cops. I don't know if you can hear the police. I got the swimming pool. There's actually an Olympic-sized swimming pool, right? Looking out over the city. I just want to see what's going on. There's drama. But you take a look, and it's like, you take a look at the house, you take a look at the things around here, and you can be like, that dude lives like a fantasy. True. But it's not a fantasy because I'm here. But I got here through structured processes that you can learn. And if you want to learn those, how do you learn them? One thing at a time. Right now, here's where you start. Scroll down, put your email in the page, hit the button. Hit the button on the next page. I'm going to give you an audio of today. As the police sirens are going, if you can hear those, just imagine money coming into your bank account because of the skills that you learned starting today. When you put your email in the form below and you claim your bonuses, because you want your bonuses, don't you? I'm going to give you an audio and a PDF from today, and also I'm going to start you on the path to creating your skills one day at a time. You can use this in any business, right? So whether it's doing something like mgtow, and I use that because I need to exercise, you know what I mean? It's like you do things and like sometimes what happens is you do things and you don't know why you're doing them, right? I remember I used to just listen to things and be like, what's the magic closing line? I talked on the phone a lot. And then after a while I realized, wrong question. Wrong question. Why? Put in your email below and maybe you'll find out. And then leave me a detailed comment today and say, Dave, here's what I learned. I'm going to learn to relax into skill. And if you do that, life will change. Now, put in your email address. I'll see you on the next page. I'll look forward to helping you in each new episode of the Daily Shortcut.